Friedrich Nietzsche was born on October 15, 1844, in Rücken, near Leipzig. His early life was marked by a deep sensitivity and a household steeped in religious devotion, as his father was a Lutheran minister. Tragedy struck when his father died in 1849, uprooting the family to Naumburg, where Nietzsche grew up among strong women, his mother, grandmother, two aunts, and younger sister, Elizabeth. This nurturing yet challenging environment forged a complex personality, blending keen intellect with a restless spirit. Nietzsche's intellectual prowess shone brightly throughout his school years, culminating in his appointment in May 1869 to a chair in classical philology at Basel at just 24 years old, the youngest ever to hold such a position. His mentor, Friedrich Wilhelm Ritschl, praised him with the words, "He will simply be able to do anything he wants to do." Initially focused on philology, Nietzsche's interests soon gravitated towards philosophy, inspired by Arthur Schopenhauer and Friedrich Albert Lange. He even planned a second PhD in philosophy before the Basel opportunity arose. During his studies in Leipzig, Nietzsche met the influential composer Richard Wagner, becoming a frequent guest at Wagner's Villa Tribschen in Lucerne. Their friendship, lasting into the mid-1870s, was pivotal both personally and professionally. Nietzsche's first book, The Birth of Tragedy Out of the Spirit of Music, 1872, controversially proposed that Wagnerian music drama could revive the tragic culture of ancient Greece. Despite harsh criticism from classical scholars, the work contained striking insights about Greek tragedy. Nietzsche's growing disenchantment with Wagner and traditional culture led him to explore a naturalistic critique of morality, encouraged by his friendship with Paul Rée. His book, Human All Too Human, 1878, marked a significant shift, introducing aphoristic writing and corrosive critiques of conventional pieties. This work ended his friendship with Wagner, symbolized by Nietzsche's remark that their works crossed in the mail as if two swords had crossed. Chronic health problems plagued Nietzsche, forcing his resignation from Basel in 1879. Freed from academic duties, he devoted himself to writing, producing significant works such as The Gay Science, 1882. Thus Spoke Zarathustra, 1883-85. Beyond Good and Evil, 1886, and On the Genealogy of Morality, 1887. These texts established his enduring legacy as a radical critic of traditional values and a visionary philosopher. Nietzsche's life was marked by intense relationships, including a tumultuous friendship with Rée and Lou Salomé. Their planned intellectual commune dissolved after Nietzsche's failed marriage proposal to Salomé. Nietzsche's health continued to decline, leading to a mental collapse in 1889. Diagnosed with dementia, he spent his remaining years under the care of his mother and sister, eventually lapsing into silence until his death in 1900. After his death, Nietzsche's sister Elizabeth managed his literary estate, publishing The Antichrist and Ecce Homo, along with a compilation titled The Will to Power. Despite his tragic end, Nietzsche's thoughts and writings left an indelible mark on philosophy, inspiring numerous biographies and fictional reconstructions of his life. Friedrich Nietzsche is perhaps best known for his penetrating critiques of traditional European moral values, especially those rooted in Christianity. His critique was extensive, challenging not only religious faith and philosophical moral theories, but also essential aspects of everyday moral thinking. These include altruism, guilt, moral responsibility, compassion, and the value of treating everyone equally. Elements many consider indispensable. In Nietzsche's era, it was widely assumed among European intellectuals that these moral concepts, despite their roots in Christian traditions, needed a rational foundation separate from specific religious beliefs. Most philosophers believed that a secular justification for morality would eventually arise, preserving our established moral commitments. Nietzsche, however, found this belief to be naive. He used his powerful rhetoric to shake his readers from their complacency. His doubts about the sustainability of Christian moral foundations were not presented as optimistic liberation or confident secularism. Instead, he famously and provocatively declared, "God is dead." This statement was not a simple endorsement of atheism. In GS 125, he describes this pronouncement as shocking news to a group of atheists. His core message was that because the belief in the Christian God has become unbelievable, everything that relied on this belief, the whole of our European morality, was destined to collapse. GS 343. With Christianity no longer serving as the moral bedrock, the supposedly stable foundation of European ethical life was revealed to be fragile and ultimately mortally wounded. Nietzsche argued that this realization should lead to mourning and deep disorientation. Central to Nietzsche's philosophy is the concept of the will to power, a fundamental drive he believed to be more significant than survival or reproduction. He elaborates on this in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. "Wherever I found a living thing, there I found the will to power. And even in the will of the servant, I found the will to be master. That the weaker should serve the stronger, to that it is persuaded by its own will, which would be master over what is weaker still. This pleasure alone it likes not to forego." In Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche critiques the instinct of self-preservation, arguing physiologists should think before putting down the instinct of self-preservation as the cardinal instinct of an organic being. A living thing seeks above all to discharge its strength. Life itself is will to power. Self-preservation is only one of the indirect and most frequent results thereof. Nietzsche introduces the Übermensch, Overman, in response to the existential void left by the death of God. The Übermensch is an ideal human who transcends conventional morality to create and live by their own values. "I teach you the Overman. Man is something that shall be overcome. What have you done to overcome him?" The Übermensch represents a solution to the potential nihilism that follows the loss of absolute values by creating their own meaning and purpose.